To understand why math is hard for people who speak English, you first have to understand what I like to call bad numbers. Okay, so to understand what I call bad numbers, let's go ahead and look at let's look at some numbers here. So these are our digits, right? These are the normal digits. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, that's nothing. There's nothing wrong with those. No bad numbers there. Okay. So let's look at the number 10, right? Okay, so that's the very next in sequence. Okay, so far so good. We have 10. If we were to go down this way by tens, we'd have 20. Okay, so that's a little weird, right? Going down this way, we have 10, and that's 1. 1 and 10 aren't really related in any way, right? That's kind of weird. So we look at that and let's say, that's 10. This guy's 20. Okay, it really doesn't have anything to do with 2. Okay, so let's do the next one, 30. Okay, doesn't have anything to do with 3. I mean, it sort of sounds similar. The first part of 3, 30. The ends are completely different. So that's a little weird, right? 40. Okay, at least I'm starting with the word for, right? So I have 4t, like that. And then, but the weird thing is t, 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 right? They're all t's, but this is 10. Can't help but think that this isn't some kind of degenerate version of the word 10 here. These are all kind of bad numbers, and the fact that they're kind of badly named. It's even worse along this line here. So we'll go by ones this way. We'll do an 11 here. 11. That is kind of its own name. It doesn't have anything to do with the 10. We have a 12 next. It's a little weird. Okay, 13. Okay, 13. Okay, all these numbers from here to here are going to be teens. They're going to be in the teens. So those are teens. Okay. So I have 19. Okay, that's good. T, 13. Okay, there's some consistency there. But why is this not 2 teen and 1 teen? And why is it teen and not 10? So we have teen and we have t and we have 10, and they're kind of all related a little bit. So let's continue, and you'll see some more bad. So that's a bad number, that's a bad number, right? These are really bad numbers because they don't even have some consistency. They have their own special names. These are bad and because of the t's, if you ask me. Those are badly named. Okay, so now 14. Okay, yay, once again, just like here, we have the word for, it's spelled weird, 4t, right? 14. Okay, at least I'm saying the word for here. First time ever along this line where I actually said this number. 15, okay, well, we went off the rails there again, so that's kind of a bad number. Fifth, right? 13 is kind of a bad number. Thir, right? So let's go here. 5t, right? Okay, so at least are related somehow, right? 5t, right? Bad. 15 bad, but at least there's some consistency. Now we get back on track again with 16, right? 6. This isn't 15, right? So we're back on track here. 17, 18, and 19. Okay, so those aren't bad, even though they have the teen part. So these are all sort of bad numbers. In fact, almost all of these are bad in some way, and all of these are bad. So let's go along the 20s now. Okay. So if I would do 21, okay, that's interesting. At least I'm saying the 1, and I am saying the 20, right? Even though that should be something else. It should be like 2 something, 2t, or 210, if you will, right? Instead of this degenerate version of 10. So that's the only bad part is that part, and it got it from here. Let's go 22, 23, 24. Okay, let's stop right there. Okay, so they're at least consistent, 2, 3, and 4. I'm saying 1, 2, 3, 4. That's good. I'm back to these numbers, right? I'm back up to here without weirdness. There's no weirdness here where we had with the 11s and the 12s. But what's interesting is I say 24 here, but I say 14 here. I say 25 here in this direction, but I say 15. 26, 16. It's just craziness here. Okay, so that's like the worst row of all. And we keep going along here, and we'll see that this 31, 32, 41, 42, 51, 52. So those follow a common pattern, right? Even if this part is wrong, or bad, if you will, at least it follows a common pattern. And then it isn't until we get all the way down to say like 100, right? So 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900. Okay, great. So I'm 100, 200, 300. I'm using these names again, and I'm actually saying the actual column that it's in, okay? So if we look at like hundreds, and then tens, and then ones, right? Whoops, ones, if you can read that. Okay, so if I put like, if I said 100, so it'd be 100, right? It's 100. That's cool. I say the number here, I say the column. So what would this be? This would be 110, right? That's what we should be saying, and this would be not 12 if we were to name them right? What should that be? Well, that would be 110, 2. And see, that would make a lot more sense, especially when you think of 110.3. Because all you have to know is the order of these numbers. And once you get the order down, you know that 110.2 is before 110.3. And 110.3 comes right after 2 because 2 and 3 follow each other. So no matter what is here, if this ends in 2 and this ends in 3, you just know. As opposed to 12 and 13. If you just think about those two words, just the utterance of 12 and 13, there's no sense that, unless you know how to count, like we know math, but there's no common sense to go, oh, well, that must follow. Because I could say blah, 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 2, and blah, 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 3, and you would say, well, the front part, I don't understand the front part, but I know that it ends in 2, and then I don't understand the same front part, and it ends in 3. They must follow each other because 2 follows 3. So there's no sense here 11 and 12 are related anywhere that they're even close to each other. They just have these special names, right? Completely different from everything else. These two guys are the worst offenders. These are the worst numbers, right? These are bad numbers, but these are the worst. So I think that the way we talk impacts the way we think. And the words we use impacts the way we think. And because of that, and we call these numbers bad, these are just bad numbers. We have bad names for these. It does impact how we think about those numbers and how we intuit those kinds of numbers. And so it's hard to imagine, but imagine you're a kid again and you're hearing 13 and 12 and 11. Those all mean nothing, as opposed to 110.2 and 110.3 or something like that. So this would be 210 and 310 and 410 and 510. So there'd be 510.1, 510.2, 510.3. And you could do 100, 510.7. And that would pretty much tell you everything you need to know. And it would make sense because this would come right out of the name. This has to be taught very explicitly. And it is an intuitive, a natural transition from the naming to the way in which we encode our numbers. And the way we encode our numbers is very important. So we've named our numbers in English and other Western languages that makes it difficult to understand how we encode those numbers. So I think that it's like Chinese, they do something like I'm suggesting that we would call numbers, right? I doubt that's ever going to happen because we can't even go to the metric system here in the US. So, but to understand this, I think is somewhat helpful, and I almost think that we should at least teach how the names should be to make people think differently about numbers, and hopefully all of a sudden this could make more sense. Why is this important to understand this? The way in which we encode numbers is because if you ever go into like computers and in programming, you deal with different numbering systems. This is base 10, we deal in base 2 with binary, and in base 16 with hexadecimal. So that kind of conceptual understanding is mildly important in those if you're trying to do computer science. So anyway, there you have it. That is the reason why it's difficult for people who speak English to do math.